The Pool Prank War. It was a quiet summer night in Maple Grove, a tidy suburban enclave in Ohio, when I heard the splash. At first, I thought it was a raccoon rummaging through my backyard, but the laughter that followed, shrill and unmistakable, told me otherwise. I flicked on my security camera app and watched, jaw clenched, as my neighbor Linda and her teenage daughter Sophie hurled dozens of water balloons into my pristine pool. Some burst with glitter, others oozed a syrupy muck that looked like melted candy. My newly installed $3,000 filtration system was now a glitter-choked disaster. By morning, my pool was a kaleidoscope of chaos, and a sticky note on my gate read, "Chill out. It's just a bit of fun." That's when I decided Linda's prank deserved a response she'd never forget. Maple Grove was the kind of place where people mowed their lawns on schedule and waved at strangers. I'd spent the past month sprucing up my backyard new sod, a row of apple trees, and a pool so clear it sparkled like glass. The neighborhood was peaceful, or so I thought. Linda, who lived 3 houses down, had other plans. She'd appointed herself the unofficial enforcer of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association, strutting around with a notepad and a pen, ready to scold anyone for minor infractions like an extra potted plant or a mailbox painted the wrong shade of beige. The trouble started a week earlier at my backyard barbecue. I'd invited a few friends, my brother Mark, and his kids for a low-key afternoon. The music was soft, the kids swam quietly, and we wrapped up before sunset. But Linda wasn't having it. She marched up to my fence, peering through the slats like a detective. "Is this event on the HOA calendar?" she barked. I explained it was a private family gathering, but she scoffed, muttering about community resource abuse before storming off. I brushed it off until I saw my pool the next morning, a swirling mess of color and debris. The security footage confirmed my suspicions. Linda and Sophie, sneaking through the side gate at 1:47 a.m., giggling as they lobbed their balloons. Sophie even did a clumsy dive into the pool before they fled. The note was the final insult, taped to my gate with Linda's signature flourish. I was livid but not surprised. Linda thrived on chaos, and the HOA, led by a spineless retiree named Harold, was useless. I sent them the footage, expecting action. Harold's response? "Balloons aren't permanent damage. Never mind the clogged filters or the ruined pump." Linda even had the gall to message me on the neighborhood app. "You're welcome for the festive touch. Pools are for everyone, not just you." That was it. I wasn't going to let her win. With Mark's help, I began plotting what we'd later call Operation Gunk. Mark, a software engineer with a knack for creative solutions, suggested we fight fire with fire but make it unforgettable. We didn't want to break laws or sink to Linda's level. We wanted poetic justice. I gave the HOA one last chance, requesting a formal hearing. Linda showed up in a garish pink blazer, claiming the footage was edited, and her balloons were performance art, protesting water waste. The board dismissed the case, and Linda's smirk as she left sealed her fate. We got to work. I called in a favor from an old college buddy, Greg, who'd worked on a kids' game show known for its gooey stunts. He helped us whip up a non-toxic, pool-safe sludge cornstarch, food coloring, and a hint of peppermint oil for a weirdly off-putting smell. It was a vivid, neon orange concoction that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi flick. We rigged a hidden tank to the pool's auxiliary pipes, complete with a remote valve I could trigger from a key fob. Late-night tests proved it worked. The jets spewed a glorious stream of orange gunk, transforming the water in minutes. The plan needed a stage. Linda loved an audience, so I crafted a fake invite for a neighborhood unity brunch by my pool. I posted flyers on the community board and sent Linda a personal message. She replied instantly, "Thrilled to attend. Glad you've seen reason." She had no idea what was coming. I invited a few trusted neighbors: Amir, a city planner who'd clashed with Linda before, and Betty, a no-nonsense retired nurse who'd lived in Maple Grove for decades. They'd get front-row seats to the show. The night before, I drained the pool and refilled it with clear water, keeping the gunk tank hidden under a tarp. The setup was perfect. At 10:30 a.m., guests arrived. Amir brought iced tea, Betty brought her sharp wit, and Linda swept in at 11 o'clock, dressed in a white sundress and a floppy hat, her poodle princess in a matching bow. She strutted to a lounge chair by the pool, proclaiming, "This is what community looks like when people listen to me." I bit back a grin and nodded to Mark, who was fiddling with the speaker system to hide his laughter. Linda launched into a monologue about her vision for Maple Grove, calling herself the glue holding property values together. When she stood to admire the pool, dipping a toe in and cooing about its ideal clarity, I pressed the fob. A low gurgle started, then the jets erupted, pumping orange sludge into the water. The pool turned into a glowing swamp. Linda froze, confused, then slipped on the slick deck and tumbled in with a shriek. The yard went silent, then exploded in gasps and stifled laughs. She surfaced, her dress ruined, her hat soggy, and her sunglasses dangling. Princess yipped frantically as Linda flailed, screaming, "What is this? You've poisoned my outfit." Mark stepped forward, calm as ever. "It's just eco-gunk, Linda. Non-toxic, biodegradable. Want a taste?" The neighbors lost it. Betty clapped, Amir snapped photos, and even the quiet dad from down the street, Paul, chuckled. Linda crawled out, dripping orange, and spotted my camera. "You set me up," she spat. I smiled. "Like you set up my pool with your balloons at 2 a.m.? She had no reply. Fuming, she grabbed Princess and stormed off, leaving a trail of neon footprints. I thought that'd be the end, but Linda wasn't done. Within hours, she slipped a note under my door. "Your stunt will cost you. Watch your back." The next day, my recycling bins were skipped by the city after an anonymous tip about hazardous waste. Then a code inspector showed up, claiming I'd illegally modified my pool plumbing. I showed him my permits and the gunk's lab specs. He laughed, saying, "Sounds like a personal grudge." But Linda's next move crossed a line. Sophie, her daughter, snuck into my yard at midnight, armed with spray paint. She tried tagging my fence, but I coated it with a graffiti repellent film. The paint slid off, and when my floodlights blazed, she tripped and ran, caught on camera. I filed a police report. The officer, who'd heard of Linda's antics, sighed. "This is actionable." Linda was hit with fines for vandalism and failing to supervise Sophie. At the next HOA meeting, the room was packed. I played the spray paint footage, and Harold, finally fed up, moved to strip Linda of her unofficial enforcer role. It passed unanimously. Amir revealed Linda's false code complaints could trigger city fines, and the crowd buzzed. Linda tried to protest, but no one listened. She stormed out, ranting about lawsuits. Her downfall went viral. A neighbor leaked her community app tirade accusing me of chemical terrorism to a local subreddit. Memes of her orange-soaked flail spread, and her social media went dark. A month later, a for sale sign appeared on her lawn. She moved without fanfare, replaced by a young couple, Emma and Nate, who brought cookies and a promise to keep the peace. They'd seen the gunk video and loved the neighborhood spirit. Maple Grove changed. HOA meetings became productive, with plans for a dog park and a book exchange. Harold stepped up, and neighbors stopped fearing petty citations. I hosted a clean pool party to celebrate, with orange jello for laughs. Betty wore a Team Gunk shirt, and we raised a toast to new beginnings. A local vlogger turned our saga into a YouTube mini-doc, The Gunk Battle of Maple Grove, which hit 4 million views. Emails poured in from HOA-oppressed folks nationwide, thanking us for showing how to fight back with smarts, not fists. The final touch came when a mystery package Ayurveda wooden sign reading, "The pool that tamed Linda," dated with our victory. I hung it by my apple trees, a subtle nod to the war we'd won. Maple Grove was free, and I'd help make it that way. Linda's reign was over, and our neighborhood was stronger than ever. What do you think about standing up to bullies like Linda? Was the gunk prank justice or too far? Share your thoughts in the comments, especially on how we handle conflict and unfairness in our communities. Let's hear your take.